Hello everyone and welcome to Submachine A to the Plan. We are nearing the end of the Submachine series. There's currently only 9 games and there will eventually be 10. I think the 10th one will be released this year maybe, hopefully. This video might be a little bit confusing to watch, mostly because this game is quite a lot more confusing than the other Submachine games. But I hope I can kinda explain it well, so let's just start this. You can create dimensional portals while being inside of such portals. Yes, I can. And when you do, what happens then? You change direction. Direction of what? Of everything. And that's a little intro. Okay, so we start off on this screen, and there's this hatch which we can open because it's being blocked by this stick thing which we can't move either because there's this lock right here, even though I don't really see why you couldn't just slide it out of there. But whatever, we'll run with it. Over here on the right screen we can actually move this weird rod thing to the left, so we will, because we have to do that for later. And we can pick up something right here, which is kind of inconspicuous and weird. It's a broken beam. So there we go. Over here on the left, we can see there's this key hanging right here. And we can actually only get that with the broken beam, so here we go. Rusty key. Okay, so let's open this padlock, get that out of the way, and there we go. Now, because we've moved this thing over, we can actually move it back over there, which we will also have to later, but let's first move down here and actually grab the thing that's at the end of it, which is a stone sphere, and there's a letter here, so let's read that. Murtaugh is coming back. We should go now. Alrighty. So let's move this thing back now. The reason I'm doing this is because we will need it a lot later, because I'm getting all the secrets, and this is what you have to do for one of the secrets. But here there's a weird stick we can actually set in 3 different positions, so this is something that you'll have to remember for later. I'm not gonna pull this quite yet. Maybe I will actually. We have sent a green beam into space, it appears, and we can't turn this off again, so that was probably a good thing. Right here there's a weird stethoscope looking kind of thing. I'm not entirely sure. Looks like you need to put these electrodes over your head. I don't see what would ever be a bad idea about that, so let's go right ahead. Alright, so now we have this interface here. We currently can press 2 of these buttons, all the other ones don't work yet. So let's try pressing this one. Well, nothing happened. Let's try pressing the other one. And we have magically appeared somewhere completely different. So, before we do anything, let's actually first explain what this does. So let's press on the first one again, and we end up back here where we were before. So what this actually does is, if we head over here again and move 1 room to the left, and then head back to the other layer as they are called, we actually end up 1 room to the left of that. So it's basically 2 different areas set right on top of each other. So if you move 2 spaces upward here, then you can see that... Oh, actually I won't do this yet, because that's it's kind of a puzzle that we need to solve. So let's go back to the second one, and if I move 1 up here, and move back through this thing, then we can see that we've moved 1 up here as well. So yeah, each of the areas in this game all have the same layout but just look very different, which is quite interesting. So let's head back over the second one and check out this weird cupboard thing right here. I'm just gonna open all the drawers. Can't open this one because it seems to be lacking a knot, or a knob actually, that's what that's called. Well done, me. I clearly remember the day it all ended. It was not long after computer processing power exceeded that of the human brain. Many thought that this was the turning point, but not so. The moment came a bit later. I remember because I was there when we asked the big question. The biggest question. The one we've been struggling with for millennia. Why are we? But this time the question wasn't directed at us. We asked the computer. and that was the turning point in the history of humanity, that exact moment. Once we acknowledged that we are not the most evolved structure on our planet, once we passed the torch, our purpose diminished. Did you expect the computer to fry under the heaviest of questions? Of course. So you can imagine our surprise when this happened. The computer answered the question. Alright then. By the way, we're playing again the HD re-release from I don't know when, probably 2014 I think. And as you can see, it's weird. Some parts of the image have been remade in HD, for example this floor right here and the cupboard, but the surrounding bits right here are still very pixely. I don't know why that is. It's so weird, but I guess we'll live with it. Right here we have this weird rotating thing which makes the normal submachine valve sound when you turn it, so that's wonderful. Over here on the right we have this weird screen which we can actually turn these buttons on and off, and they show us pictures of the different layers. We've actually not seen this bit here before, and this is actually the screen we're on currently, I think. Yeah, it is. And you can actually turn both of them on and see them on top of each other, which, you know, that's not very useful. Let's move one up. What's this? Okay, that seems to be a clue for something. We will probably need that later. And on this compass looking thing we can actually turn these arrows. So that might be something we need another clue for. Okay, this thing which we can pull and it does nothing really. So that's great. And up here we have another compass looking thing on the floor. So that's probably going to be important later. But yeah, that seems to be everything we can do on this layer. So let's actually... I'll just show you how this layer thing works. If we move right here, then you can see that we can't move to the right anymore. But on this layer, we actually can move to the right. So if we do that and head back to the first one, then we can see that we actually end up inside of that spaceship looking thing on the first layer, which we couldn't get in before. So that's quite interesting. And there's another hint right here for that puzzle, which we don't know what that is yet, but I'm sure it'll be useful. Also there's a small chest, and we have this small chest opener, so that's probably going to be useful. There we go. We find a cogwheel. Alright then. Also on the right here there's this energy coil, which is also going to be useful. And if we head up here we can pick up the stone sphere. And you might have noticed that these stone spheres actually look quite similar to what we have on this picture right here. But that's not that important quite yet. Let's head up here and actually check out the second... Okay, never mind, there's nothing here. So what we actually want to do is we can see here that we can't head up any further. So if we head back to the first layer, we can head up one more and go back to the second layer, and we've reached a further point. This is... I don't know how to explain this properly, but, you know. We actually have to use our energy coil right here to put that in there to power this one here, which again sends a green beam into space and makes our thingy-magoober light up. So that's great, because that means that now we have a new layer to explore. And this one seems to be a forest with strange bronze structures, and we can actually pick this up. What is it? A beamer arm, okay. Let's head over to the left here, because we... Oh, this thing here. This is on the very first screen, or on the second screen actually. What is this? Sorry, I got distracted. On the second screen we could move that thing to the right or the left. And this is actually where it ends up when you move it to the right, and that actually gives you a secret item. So that's useful for us. Let's take this cogwheel and put it right here, because it clearly fits there, and activate that. And what that actually does is it raises this dome here, and we can pick up this cube. Alright then. So let's head back down here and keep exploring. Where are you? I'm standing right beside you. Can't you see me? No. Let's compare our geotags once more. Something's off, but we're at the same location, but where are you? well, they were probably on different layers, so that makes sense. It's something I finally understand about the story in this game. We have another one of these, which we can, you know, set in 3 different positions, just like the other one. If we move over to the right, we see this weird mechanism right here, which looks actually quite familiar, especially this part here, the surrounding bit. But before we actually solve that, I'm going to click on this floor tile right here to find another secret, which is very well hidden, I guess. I don't know. Let's not do this yet. Let's take care of this first. So let's head back to the second layer and actually set this up so that it actually fits with the knot, with the notch right here. And that opens it up, and we get a 4th of these stone spheres. And now that we have 4 of them, we can actually solve this here. So let's push this button, and a ladder appears. If we head up here, then we can actually see a place for us to put our stone cube. And if we press that, nothing happens, because we still haven't put in our stone spheres right here. So let's look at these clues again. This says 1, 2, 3 and 4 in Roman numerals, so that's not a very difficult puzzle, is it? This is basically the order in which you're supposed to put them in. So we have dot, plus, stripes and circle. So let's do that. Dot, plus, stripes, circle. Wonderful. And now if you push this button right here, we shoot another green beam into space and get another layer for our wonderful stethoscope device thing. This one's pretty disgusting, I guess. Right away we have a lever we can't do anything with, which is supposed to open this thing presumably, but we can't do that yet. And another one of these things where you pull them and it doesn't do much. Right on the floor here we pick up a drawer handle, and we probably know what to do with that. And we can't actually move down any further here. So we seem to be stuck on this layer, so let's head back to the 3rd layer. This is actually one of the layers you have the most freedom of movement on, at the start at least. And let's head back, let's head 1 over to the left and actually move back to the 4th layer, which means that we've moved 1 to the left here as well. And we can actually pull this thing here. So that was clearly the sound of water draining, so that must have been something that we've done right. Right here we get a hint for that compass puzzle, which we will solve a lot later. If we head over to the left here, and as you can see, this is actually... each one of these layers has a weird T-junction at the top, so as you can see there's 1 to the right, 1 in the middle, 1 to the left, and then it just heads down to... and then it has 3 to the right, and you know, there's a lot. All of these layouts are the same, and it's not that complicated really, but the fact that it's just 7 different layers makes it so confusing. So we find another note here on the 4th layer. But why the boundaries? Why this particular shape? The idea is to give you a glimpse of the plan, just a glimpse. Seeing it in all its glory would blind your mind. Not entirely sure what that's supposed to mean, but we found another one of these 3-position sticks things, so that's exciting. And on the right here we find a wire, so that might be useful eventually. The 4th layer is really loud for me, I don't know about you guys, but it's really loud. So let's head back to the 2nd one. Actually I'm stuck here, so let's head to the 3rd one. We have some freedom of movement. And now back to the 2nd one, there we go. Because we've picked up this drawer handle before, so let's fix this. And we pick up a small mirror. And now I'm actually not entirely sure what we're supposed to... Actually, no, never mind, I know. I'm a genius. If we head over to the 4th layer again, then this is the room where we previously had some water here, and we can actually see that from the stains here on the wall. But now that we've pulled that lever over 1 screen to the left of this one, we've actually drained this bit, and we can head down here. And this might not look like much because you can't do anything with this, but this is actually a room. This is actually a space that we've never been in before in none of the layers. So if we head over to the 1st layer, for example, we can see that this is actually below below that ship bit thing. And we actually have a thing that on the wall here that looks exactly like the one on the 4th layer, so let's pick up this thing, which is probably something we will need. But as you can see, we can move up one, but we can't move one down again. So we have to head back over to the 4th layer, move down here, and this is the place where we put our fuse. But let's first check out the other layers and see what's here. On the 2nd layer we find a stone pyramid and another one of these pulley things, which is very exciting. And on the 3rd layer we have a weird dome thing, which seems to be cracked, but we can't do anything with that quite yet. So let's head back over to the 4th one and actually put our fuse in. What this does, we can follow the cable. Actually we can't really, because it goes up there and just disappears. But if we head up here, then this is this is a wire that connects to, and now we can activate this. And that gives us the 5th layer to work with, so that's wonderful. And right away we find another one of these, and a beautiful statue of something, I'm not entirely sure. If we head down here we can find another beamer arm piece, so this is probably something that we're going to assemble at some point. Right here we have a cat statue, and this, which you can't do anything with. Here we have a gateway of sorts, and 5 things are activated, 5 out of 7, which actually corresponds to our thing here. It's 5 out of 7 because the 8th one is removed. Okay, let's head down here. There's a note. This screen is very pretty, I like this one. I never knew a beam of light could bend like that. Well, I don't know what to say to that. This is actually that mysterious new screen we've discovered before, but in this layer you can actually just get right to it, and this layer actually replaces the 3rd one as the one with the most freedom of movement on it, because we can actually move to pretty much every screen there is from this one, so that's great. This is just a toy, It's not a toy, it's a knot. You have to untie it, unless you're Alexander. One thing, the only thing that this layer is actually lacking is that T-junction at the top, because we can't move to the right here, we can only move to the left. And see a structure which actually looks quite similar to our stone pyramid, which isn't very important, but you know. So there's only one screen on the 5th layer which we haven't seen yet, and that is the one that's to the right of this one, because we're missing the T-junction. So let's head one over to the right and get back here. And this is actually kind of confusing. This is a part where I got stuck for ages, because you actually have to, well, this is kind of obvious that you're supposed to do this, where you can rotate this thing, and it doesn't really do much. It doesn't do anything anywhere yet, because you first have to put this small mirror on here, and now rotate this. And this actually activates the 6th layer for us. So here we are. We find another one of these, which we can't do anything with, and some strange machinery. There's a broken lever here, and a huge tank thing. I'm not entirely sure what this is called, but this seems kind of out of place for this game. So let's head back. Let's head down here. This is the T-junction again, by the way. Just saying, I don't know. Make it less confusing. Do you see it now? Yes, how is it even possible? They're interlocking perfectly. Who needs God when you have architects like that, right? Oh, Murtaugh, that was probably you saying that. I'm not entirely sure. When I asked for explanation, he drew me this. And I actually have no idea what this is supposed to be. I genuinely don't. I'm not even only pretending that I don't know what this is, I genuinely don't know what this is. So that's kind of weird. You can solve the game completely without it. I don't know what that is. No idea. We have a lever on the wall here, and that actually just blocks our way, so that's completely useless, right? Right? That's extremely useless, right? It's not like there's something on the other side of it which you can only access through actually teleporting there, right? Right? It's completely useless, and this is actually the most important hint in the entire game. So that's kind of weird, but we're gonna gonna move back over to the left here and actually remove this again because it's annoying. And we don't need it anymore. This is interesting, we'll take care of this just soon. And up here we can actually find a wheel button, which we can now finally solve that compass puzzle with that, so we will soon. And right here we find probably the final piece of our beamer arm. So that's exciting. Actually, what is this? Nothing. Okay. Fine game. Let's take care of this first. If we move this up here, then we can actually see that that lights up. And there's a button for the 2nd, the 4th and the 6th layer. This actually corresponds to the layers. I shouldn't have said that probably, but you know it does. So let's move it to the 2nd layer and actually head over to the 2nd layer. See if anything's changed. And something actually has. It's this thing here, right here, because that was red before and now it's green. So now we can actually pull this and it stays where it is. And as you can see, it actually stays green here as well. So we've set it to the 4th layer now. So let's go look for that. There we go. And now on to the 6th layer, which is the one we're at anyway. And the button for that is right up here. There we go. And we find a power storage cell, so that's great. The place where you actually put these is kind of confusing to me, I don't know why. These wires right here, this is where you're supposed to put this. So that's probably our energy source right here. Which that doesn't do much, because we have to connect this thing with the wire. This is actually the place where you have to set up everything for the beamer arms as well. This is where that goes, which is wonderful. And so yeah, I think we actually now have everything to activate the 7th layer, but we're not going to do that because we're going to do the compass puzzle first, because that's been bugging us for hours, right? So let's head back over to the 2nd layer where we see this compass thing here. But over on the right we have the more elaborate compass, so let's put in the wheel button. And now we can actually set the right position for these, which we found a clue for that, right? Yeah. The tricky part about this is that it's actually upside down. So you can see it says south right here and it says north right here, so we actually have to turn this upside down in our heads, which is kind of confusing. So this is pointing to the right here. Since it's upside down, it's going to be pointing to the left. The one on the right is pointing inward, so that's the one on the left that's pointing inward. That's the wrong sheet. And the one on the left is pointing upward, so the one on the right will be pointing downward, which it is. So that's great. If we head all the way to the left here, we can actually see that the other compass bit opens up. And we find a catalyst zone. Alright then. That's not going to be useful for us anytime soon, but it's good that we've taken care of that. Let's head over to the 6th layer again and activate this. So that gives us access to the 7th and final layer. And heading over here, it's quite loud again, just like the 4th layer. A woman came to our village. No one knows exactly how she entered, since the gate was closed at the time. She went straight to the term not translational, and 1 minute later a beam of bright light shot from it straight up to the sky. When she disappeared, we knew that we were blessed with the presence of the goddess. That was 742 years ago, and we worship her to this day. Still not very good at reading. The 8th game of these, and I'm still not very good at reading, so that's great. Let's head down here, and this is actually that T-junction again, just to orientate you, I guess. And if we head over to the 1st layer again, and back to the 7th one, then we can actually move down here, which that's great. Can't move to the left here. Over on the right, again, this is always the very bottom one. This is the one that we discovered earlier, that we unlocked basically. And also the pretty stair screen on the 5th layer here. And on the 7th layer we have another one of these. So you'll actually find that every layer has exactly one of these somewhere. And I've actually marked the positions down so that we can take care of that more easily. This is actually the place for our catalyst zone, but we're not gonna do that quite yet. We find a valve, because every submachine game has to have a valve in it, apparently. And we find a stone button. There's nothing much else you can do here. So let's actually put our catalyst zone in. I'm not entirely sure what that does. Alrighto. Oh, I know what that does. I know what that does, actually. If we head over to the 5th layer, then we can actually see that our gate's complete now, but we're just getting sidetracked, because we still want to use this valve right here. And we're actually going to use this on this part right here. Just turn that. Wonderful. If we head over to the 1st layer again, move one up, and use this as a way to move one up in the 7th layer, then we are back at that T-junction, and you can see that that valve actually just opened this bit here, and we only need this hammer for secrets. So let's take care of one right away. Why not? Let's head to the 5th layer, which is the one we have the most freedom of movement on, and head down here. And this is again the lowest part of any of these layouts. So let's head to the 3rd layer again, and there's the cracked dome we couldn't do anything with. We can actually crack it open with the hammer and get our 3rd secret, I think. Now let's head over to the 6th layer. Oh, we've actually not been here before. This is where the pole for the 6th layer is. But let's get over to the 5th layer again, and then to the 6th layer, so that we can take care of the secret, which is hidden stupidly right here. And that's 4 of 5 secrets, and where's the 5th one? Oh yeah, that was really convoluted and weird. Let's go take care of that. By the way, if you knock on this doorway right here, nothing really happens. And... oh yeah, we actually now finally have to solve pretty much the final puzzle in the game before we can actually collect this secret. So, what that is this right here. And this is actually a chart that shows us the positions of these things we've been finding all over the place, these poles that just stick out of the wall, which we can set in 3 positions, just like here, 1, 2, 3. And it just basically tells us for each layer, so this is the 1st layer, this is the 2nd layer, 3rd, and so on. So let's go ahead and do all these. Let's first head to the 1st layer, and I have a little map to know where all these things are. It's actually right here. Let's go to the 1st layer, and there it is. So what does this say? It says that it has to be at the bottom, so the bottom means this symbol right here, and that symbol shows us that that means that it's all the way in, because this is supposed to be a wall apparently. So let's set this all the way in, and head back to the 5th layer, which gives us a lot of freedom, and actually head down here, and this is actually where 3 of these things are, in the 2nd, the 6th, and the 7th layer. This is the place for these spoke things. So let's... okay, this one's all the way in as well. There we go. Let's take care of the 6th and 7th one right away, because why not? So the 6th one is this here, and that's supposed to be out all the way. Okay. There we go. And on the 7th layer, it's supposed to be in the middle. Okay. There we go. Now, what haven't we taken care of? The 4th layer. Actually, let's do the 3rd one first, because why not? Why not do it in their order, somewhat? The 3rd one's supposed to be in the middle. There we go. On the 4th, it's all the way over here. And we're supposed to set it to all the way out. Okay. Back to the 5th layer, which is actually the final one. All the way in. Okay. So there we go. And what this actually does is all the way over here, it opens up this pyramid for us. And this is actually something that we need. Okay, so we get this energy trail, which now we can actually finish the game, because we can insert that into this door right here. But you're actually not supposed to do that yet if you want all the secrets. With our hammer we can actually destroy this cat statue right here, which we will need for this. Put the stone button in right here, if you press that, it doesn't really do anything. Because you first have to power up this thing with the energy I don't know. I don't know about this. What is this even? Okay, got the final secret, so whatever. But come on, this is just, I don't know. So yeah, we have all 5 secrets, and we're actually about ready to finish up right here. Put this into the door, and let's enter it. And this morphs us over here to a very different place, which, again, we actually have to enter. So, did you ever catch me after all? You know there are 7 answers to that question, my dear Liz. Oh, silly Liz. Thank you for playing Submachine 8 the Plan. Coming up in 2013, Submachine 9 the Temple. I think it released in 2014, I'm not entirely sure, but that's usually how that goes. Okay, so we're back on the main screen now, and this time the game actually doesn't ask you about the secret, it just has a Secrets Hub button right here, so let's check that out, because we found all of them, so that's wonderful. Motor, if there's one thing I regret, it's the fact that of all people I sent to the edge, no one ever came back, not a single soul. That will haunt me for the rest of my life. I know. Well, we've been to the edge, and we came back, I guess. Have you ever been to the place called the Loop? Yes, of course. See, this knot is just like the Loop. Well, maybe not exactly, but it serves the same purpose. In that case, what is so important in layer 5? And then just a lot of deleted messages. But that's impossible, he can't be in different dimensions at the same time. Impossible? What does that even mean? Why does this sociopath only talk to Elizabeth? Your question is wrongly put. You wanted to ask, why doesn't he talk to us? The answer is simple, he doesn't see us. Does that make him a sociopath? Not necessarily, but that does mean he's focused. But I don't know about that. Doesn't he understand that his karma portals are shattering this dimension? This dimension? You mean the third one? You know that's not even the original dimension, right? What do you think is more important, the origin or flawed copy? I won't even pretend to know what the game's talking about right here, but, you know, I'm just here to solve the puzzles, not the story, because I don't get it. Okay, so that was Submachine 8 the Plan. I hope you enjoyed watching. The 9th game is coming up sometime, I don't know, and hopefully the 10th game is being released soon. Waiting for that. Mateusz Skutnik. If that's anyone, I don't know. See you next time, people. Bye.